Hey everyone, Dan at Ochika Bushcraft. Well, if you've watched my videos, you remember last year I did a 6-part series on building a get home bug out bag. If you haven't watched that, just go back and look for a set of videos, get home bug out slash bug out bag, and you'll see that I gradually built it, did a complete loadout, and then went through and tested. I tested water, tested fire, tested out the knife I chose, tested out shelter. Well, I've been telling you guys that I had made some changes, and I'm here to share those changes with you today. I had the chance to use that bug out slash get home bag for a year now, full year. So I got to use the components in rain and wind, in storms where it was sideways sleet, in the hot summer, just all through the seasons, and on a variety of terrain, not trains, up some of the steepest hills and down some of the steepest hills, and through brush where sharp sticks were constantly poking the pack, and buckles, catching on buckles and things. I mean, just really, really put the gear through a lot of use. And so if you go back and you look, you'll see, because I did a complete loadout of everything and then several videos of testing the gear, you'll see what I was using then. And I'm going to do the changes today, tell you all the changes I made, and then in future videos I'll show you a couple side-by-side comparisons so you can actually see what I'm talking about. Biggest change is the pack. All my videos, all my bushcrafting, from the time I started bushcrafting, years and years and years ago, I've used Spec Ops brand backpacks and never ever had a complaint or a problem. I've used them. I still have my very first one at home. It's been used by me. It was used by my dad. Not a complaint, not a mark on it. After all the use and abuse that it suffered out here, it doesn't have a tear. It doesn't have a loose thread, nothing. Well, when I built my bug out get home bag, I used a 511 Tactical Rush 12. I wanted to try something new. That was part of building the system, was to try new things. Well, it didn't work so well. It became uncomfortable, and dragging it through the brush and stuff, it just, it's like a good, how would I say, it's like a good four-wheel drive truck. It's built very well, but this thing's like a tank. It's like the top of the mark. And I was having some problems with the buckles. It just didn't feel, because I had used Spec Ops brand. I had driven a tank, basically, trying to replace my tank with a good four-wheel drive. Just wasn't working. So I got myself another Spec Ops brand backpack, this time in woodland camo. My favorite color, hopefully yours too, because it is the coolest color out there. Good old woodland camo. And it's 1000 denier Cordura. And I tell you what, like I said, because I've used these bushcraft for years, and you can just drag these things through the brush and poke them with sharp sticks, and constantly dragging them through the brush, and limbs catching on them and stuff. And I've never had a tear. I've never had a loose thread. I've never had a mark. It just, my highest recommendation. So I got rid of the 511 and switched over to the same pack that I use for bushcraft. This is the Spec Ops brand EDC, Everyday Carry. It's the smallest of their packs. And, many attachment points. I got my reflective pad rolled up on the bottom. I got 2 of the Spec Ops brand X4 pouches, as they call them, attached to the sides. I've been using this for both bushcraft and my get home bug out bag. So there's a couple extra things on here, like my Stanley Cup, something that's really not part of the bag, but I'm using it out here. I'm actually camping out here for a couple days, so it's on here now. And my hatchet, something that I always have with me, Grand Sports Bruk hatchet, doing bushcraft. So it's out here with me now as well. And in the event that I just needed to get home, I've probably got about a 15-mile walk from where I am down to the highway. I just pop off my Stanley Cup and my hatchet and leave those couple things behind. Everything else is packed the same. So that's the number one change. Number two change, you saw a couple videos ago, I did a field test on the AquaQuest Safari 7x10 tarp. And when I did that video, you might want to go back and check it out, I explained that I had tried to use the smaller 5x7, what are they, those heavy-duty blankets that are reflective on one side and got grommets in the corners. Tried to use that in a bad storm out here. It was actually sleet and heavy wind coming sideways, and I was so limited on configurations that I wasn't able to get out of the wind and the wet completely. And I had a fire and was trying to use the fire, and it was just too limited. I needed something bigger. So I switched over to that AquaQuest Safari 7x10. And again, a couple videos ago, I did do a field test of that for you guys. I haven't settled on that yet for my bushcraft tarp. I've got another tarp I'm going to be testing in the near future that actually one of you guys recommended to me. And we'll do that on a future video. But for my Bug Out Get Home bag, that 7x10 is perfect, because the type of shelters that I would do with it would be very quick shelters that I can set up in less than 60 seconds, like I did on that video. Third thing I switched out was saws. I was testing, because of its size, small and lightweight, the Silky Pocket Boy, and it did not perform, and I'm going to tell you why. I started using it to cut fat wood out here. You know, when I'm out here in the mountains, and just like I'm going to have a fire up here on the hill behind me tonight, I'm going to cut some fat wood off stumps. Try to find something that's loaded with pitch. The blade on the Silky Pocket Boy would clog up with the pitch and the sawdust, and it would just cake the sides of the blade, and it would get gummed up between the teeth so bad that it would barely cut. It was packed up between the teeth so tight, the pitch and the sawdust, that I'm just barely cutting. It turned into a lot of work and a mess. I would have to stop, clean the blade. The Bahco has this black coating. The pitch, when I'm sawing through fat wood, doesn't get stuck up in the teeth. It doesn't get stuck up all over the sides and gum everything up. And this black coating, I believe, is the reason why. There might be something to do with the tooth pattern that helps too, but that black coating really, really helps. And if I'm going home, or I'm going to a bug out location, or I'm just in an emergency survival situation, or I'm out here doing bushcraft, I'm going to go for fat wood if I'm going to have a fire. I need something that will cut through it quickly without gumming up, without having to stop and clean it, without creating a mess and more work. So I switched back to my Bahco, and I'm going to do a side-by-side. I'm actually going to bring that little Pocket Boy out here in a future video, and we're going to cut some fat wood with this in the Bahco, and I'm going to show you guys how that thing just gums up bad. Okay, next thing I switched out was I was using those little quick tinder fire starting tabs, and when I got into some situations where the wood was really wet and I couldn't find anything dry, they didn't burn long enough. It was like 30 seconds and it's gone. They'd spark easy. They'd give you a flame with just a spark, but then it was gone. So I switched over to fire plugs. Also started carrying again Vaseline with cotton balls, and I got a tip, something I found at the dollar store that I'll share with you guys in a future video. Pretty cool way to make those that I'm actually enjoying more than the traditional way. But I have some of those, and I have these fire plugs, and I'll carry some of these in my pocket when I go out for a walk or anything. And I've done a couple videos with these now. I've only had one give me trouble on one occasion, and that was on video. I did have one that did not want to burn too well, but all the rest of the times I've used these, they have done an excellent job. and they burn much, much longer. In fact, a half of one of these burns far longer than one of those quick tinder tabs. So I switched over to using them. And the final item I switched, you remember I was using those expensive food bars by Greenbelly. I also experimented with Cliff bars and energy bars and other kinds of bars out here. Here's what I ran into. During freezing cold weather, when I'm out here and it's you know, down in the 20s, teens, or even colder, any of those bars that had moisture in them would get as hard as a rock. I mean, I literally felt like I was going to break my teeth. Even a Cliff bar, because of all the moisture in it, those things would get so hard, I'd have to put them and just, you know, wrench on it to get a bite off. And so I switched out to carrying these Mayday bars. They come in several different sizes. I got a whole bunch of these little ones called mini meals, but you can get 1600 and 2400 calorie bars. I like these because each one's individually wrapped. 400 calories, apple cinnamon flavored, and they do taste good. I like them. I have tasted a lot of these bars that are these are good, and they don't change. They don't get soft if it's 100 degrees out here. They don't get hard if it's below 0 out here. It stays the same consistency regardless of the weather, and they're not so hard that they're gonna hurt my teeth. They taste really good. Unlike a lot of these bars, they don't drive thirst. I found a lot of these bars, as soon as you start eating them, will drive your thirst, and these actually don't drive your thirst. But they're on Amazon. It's like at least 3 different sizes. Like I said, these are the mini meals. You can buy them in cases of 100 if you want to store them away, which is what I did. 400 calories, 19 grams of fat, 51 grams of carbs, which is great, tons of energy, 7 grams of protein, and I think they taste great. So those are the things that I switched out in my Get Home Bug Out bag, and I will do some comparisons here in the future. I'll get some more of those quick tinder tabs and do a side-by-side with the fire plugs so you can see the difference in burn time, and we'll do the saws. The other thing is an addition I added. First aid kit still the same, knife still the same, the rest of the gear inside is still the same, everything as when I first loaded it out. But I also added, and I'm wearing it, a Recon wrap, again from Spec Ops brand, same brand as the pack, just because of the many ways that you can use it out here. You know, today has been borderline. I've been going back and forth between a t-shirt and throwing a flannel shirt on. My ears were getting a little cold, but it was too warm to put on a stocking cap. So this thing pulled over the side of my ears is just right. And also I throw my boonie hat on over the top, but it's very long in the back, which is really nice. You can use this for a net gaiter. If you guys, you know, have ever used a net gaiter before, having your head warm from a wool cap and the net gaiter around your neck really helps keep from losing body heat. But some of the configurations that you can set this up in are right here pictured. And it's called the Spec Ops brand Recon wrap. And I thought it might, in addition to a net gaiter, which I do use net gaiters in the wintertime, what I'm using it for right now, to keep my ears kind of warm, at least the tops of them, from getting chilled. Also, you know, I might want to mask my face. There might be a situation out here where I just don't want to give away facial recognition, or I might want to move through the brush and not have my white face standing out. So I have on my boonie hat pulled down low and this up over the top, so my eyes are the only thing that's exposed. Again, you can use it as a helmet liner, sweatband, just a variety of things. Use it for all the things that you would use a bandana for. So I've added that to the kit. Doesn't take up room, doesn't add any weight. And pretty much the changes I've made. I did learn along the way. One of the things I learned, I'll share this with you guys. If you have a field of expertise, build your bug out get home bag around your skills. I have a friend who is has been a medic. He's been an EMT. He's worked in emergency situations, and so his bug out bag has medical supplies that I don't even know how to use. It goes far beyond my basic medical kit that I carry, because he's building it around his skills. He can care for himself, he can care for his family, he can do minor surgery, he can trade his skills to others. There's so many things that he can do, so he built his bag around his skills. If you're an expert shooter, an expert marksman, you know, or a sniper, military experience in those fields, I imagine you would naturally build your get home bug out bag around those skills on what type of firearm and ammunition you would carry. So one of the things I learned over the past year is where my skills lie in traditional bushcraft, wilderness survival skills, is to build my kit and bag around my skills. So here's the reason. I use my hatchet out here every time I'm bushcrafting. So now it's on my get home bug out bag. In fact, like I said, my get home bug out bag is also my bushcraft bag right now. It's combined into one because the skills that I use out here for bushcraft are the same skills I would use getting home and have. I told you before, I've been in a get home situation, in fact, twice now. And the same skills I would use if I needed to bug out. So there's a lot of crossover here. And that's something that I just kind of learned along the way as I was watching other people's videos and getting ideas of how to make my own kit. One thing I realized is, hey, if you've got this knowledge, if you've got this training, if you've got this experience in a particular area, build your kit, build your bag around that, and you'll only be stronger for doing so. And since I've had the chance to, you know, experience using all this gear for the past year out here, been in get home situations once in the past and once more recently, thanks to the deep snow this winter. And I've got to use my skills and see that, hey, my traditional bushcraft skills work very well for get home situations, and I would assume bug out situations. So don't get rid of my bushcrafting gear for what someone else might say, hey, this is a more traditional bug out get home equipment, but build my get home bug out bag around my bushcraft experience and knowledge. So I did pick that up along the way, and I have done so, and can feel the difference. It feels more natural. I admit, when I first built my kit and I was trying new things, a lot of ideas based on what other people were doing, it felt unnatural. Hey, I miss my hatchet. I miss my tarp. These are the things I'm experienced with. These are the things I know how to set up and use. And so, you know, it's a learning experience, and I'm going to continue to learn. I'm out here camping out for a couple days right now, and I'm testing new skills. I'm testing new ideas. It is going to be down around 20 degrees or colder tonight. Testing out new ideas for staying warm. So we'll see how things work. Anyway, Dan at Ochiko Bushcraft, and those are my changes, my recommendations. Again, we'll do some comparisons in future videos, and I've got a lot of stuff coming your way. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.